So as a lot of you guys know, I love hard games.
Oh, really?
I said hard games.
Oh.
So I wanted to make a video series that was almost like a walkthrough of my strategy for how to get through a game. So I figured, what game is better to start off with than my running gag of a joke that won't die, Cobra Triangle.
You're telling me if George Clooney came in here wearing nothing but a smile and a G-string made of butter, you would not swoopity Swanson?
No, I wouldn't.
What? If he was down on all fours, you would not use your master sword to seal the darkness?
Alright, anyway, seeing as how I've already triggered Rewind Mike, let's get to the game. So the first stage in this game is kind of a gimme. It also sets the course for your entire game. It splits at one point where you can either go left or go right. Now, I've always beaten this game by going right. So we're going to focus on that, because whichever direction you go will tell you which stages you get. And what I like to do is I like to go through stage 1 twice. The reason you're able to do that is you can get a free life at the beginning of stage 1, and provided you don't die, once the timer runs out you lose a life, but then you start stage 1 again and you get another life. At the end of this level, you should have your turbo maxed out. That's only one upgrade with the pod. 1 to 2 firepowers, and get at least 1 missile. So generally, I can get that in 2 pass-throughs. You can stay here all day and max out your ship to capacity if you want. However, I'm not going to recommend that. Stage 2 is a standard drag the bomb to the other square and have it explode scenario. Minimal damage, minimal threat in this particular level. Your number one thing you're going to have to watch out for is when you drop off the bomb in the square, make sure they get the hell out of there, otherwise it can blow you up. That's the only way you should be dying in this stage. Now, if you have no speed upgrades, the other boat isn't going to be able to catch you whatsoever. So you'll be able to get there, maybe have to swerve once or twice, but other than that, stage 2 is cakewalk. Stage 3 is the pod collecting phase. Now this is probably the most important phase in the whole game as far as setting up your run. In this stage, you get either pods that say 1 or 2, and then it essentially gives you a free reign to get all these upgrades. By the end of this level, you should have max missiles, you should have the 4-way shoot for the firepower, I believe that's the 5th upgrade, and you should have force at the ready. If you're gonna go over and reset your pods, where if you go through the whole bar once and don't use it, get a speed, maybe. I still don't recommend it, but you can get away with it. And there's also a 1-up you can get, always get the 1-up. The thing about it is if you take too long, this little electric thing will catch up to you and fry you and usually kill you. You can, in some cases, hop backwards behind it, but generally it shouldn't be an issue. Moving on to stage 4, we have our first scenario where we want a bunch of people to drown. In this one, if you don't have the 5 power, if you have the 4 firepower or anything less, all the enemies will die in one hit. So you can get the one right before the 5th power up, which still shoots every direction, but then has to be activated. I don't know if you want to do this or not. I prefer not to. Once again, this stage, you can just stay in the middle and circle around and shoot. The only threat you have to worry about is the little UFO bros that will shoot missiles at you, and it'll catch up on you. Before you know it, you'll die. Generally, if you don't do anything and just spin around, you'll lose 1 life around 10 seconds left to go, which isn't the worst thing in the world. Like I say, lives in this game, you don't want to lose them, but you shouldn't be afraid to lose them because you can gain more. Every run is different. You get to your first boss fight, which is Leviathan. Leviathan, you want to go up and down on your side. Never go on his quadrant, because that tail of his will wreck you. If he hits you 3 times, you die. Now, it's not the worst case in the world if you lose a life to him. Try not to, but really, the heat-seeking missiles are going to be your best friend, and generally, when you get to the lower third on the left, that's your time to blast him. Now, this is why we have the 4-way shoot, because the bonus stages are your easiest way to get another free life. And if you can hit all of the obstacles as well as hit the missiles that are on the pedestals, you get a free life. Easier said than done. It's really just a crapshoot. Usually I get through it and I miss one. But yeah, that's your next goal, is to get that. After the bonus stage, you get to stage 7, which is the first one of your upstream scaling missions, which these can tend to be the hardest ones at times. This one's not too bad. You have 2 things to contend with. So you have to deal with logs that fall at an angle in groups of 3. Sometimes they're bunched up, sometimes they're spread out. The spread out ones are by far harder to avoid. It's hard to master, but once you get a feel for it, it gets a lot easier. And then you have whirlpools that come in 2 different states. You have 2 whirlpools that will go in and out, and if you get stuck in the middle of those, it will wreck you. That's an instant kill. And then you have another thing where it's 3 whirlpools that kind of go in a figure 8, and those ones, they look a lot harder than they are. Generally, you want to approach it from the bottom, slow down. Once you see the opening from the 2 middle ones, you go through the middle and then you veer left again to get through it. You have maybe 1 or 2 of those, and then you'll get to the end of it, which is a few more logs, and then you're at the finish line. This is probably the first stage that requires a little bit of thought as far as not just throwing your head into it and dying instantly, but if you take your time, you should get through it pretty easily. But moving on to stage 8 is everyone's favorite waterfall section. Now, the waterfall section for me is one of the easier sections because it's kind of like the turbo tunnel, where once you know what to do, it's not as hard as just getting through the mundane stuff that this can blow up in your face. Generally, you have 2 flowing sides of the water. You have one that's pushing you back and one that's pulling you forward. So what you want to do is you want to speed up to the part that's pulling you forward and then kill the gas. See if you can see where the waterfall is taking you, and then adjust on the fly while missing the whirlpool. Although the whirlpools really, once you get a feel for how to avoid them, they really are kind of easy to get around. This is one of the sections a lot of people have trouble with, and it's going to be likely the most difficult thing for people to get a handle of. But once you get a handle of it, it's not so bad. And if you do somehow fall and die, once they respawn you, you should be able to hit the waterfall every time. You just want to make sure that you hit it and then speed up in midair, because you can decelerate in midair. So if you think you're going to go too fast, let go of the gas. If you think you're going too slow, hit the gas. It is one of the more difficult sections for people to wrap their heads around, but it is, once you get the hang of it, pretty consistently done. And if you lose a life or 2 in the waterfalls, no big deal. It's more just get through it without wasting a continue, because if you can get through this part of the game without losing a continue and having the force or close to the force with the setup I said, you're pretty well off. So stage 9 is next after the waterfall, and stage 9 is your next race to the finish. And congratulations, we have done a full circle of the different types of game modes you're going to approach. So this is the second race to the finish. This is the one where you're going to have to get some work done if you haven't set your character up right. If you haven't maxed missiles out yet, which you should have, this is where you do it. If you haven't had the 5-way shot for your gun, this is where you do it. And you also, by the end of the stage, absolutely need to have force at the ready. You need to have force at the ready. Otherwise, you're going to have some serious trouble. Now, I don't know if this level branches out in a different left-right pattern. I always just instinctively go left on this level, and on the rest of the race of the finishes, I go left. Now, things to worry about on this level, you have little ramps that if you hit at the right angle will launch your character, and if you don't land back on the water, you die. It's very easy to lose life stupidly this way, as well as you have a pretty long course with some narrow turns and twists. you can lose lives by hitting the barriers too. So be a little cautious. This is why I don't like getting speed again, because speed makes it so much harder to maneuver your boat in this area. You'll be a little slower, you won't get as many points because you're not finishing as fast, but you're not dying, and that's good. Now, once you've collected all the pods you need and gotten your force at the ready, don't fire anymore. Even if you're worried about taking damage, don't fire anymore, because you don't want to accidentally get another pod and have it reset, and then you have to struggle to get it more. After stage 9, we get to our next boss fight, which is the crab. Now, this was where, as a kid, I would always die no matter what. Well, luckily, I found out a way to cheese it by going to the lower right-hand corner, and then Joshua, Tiberius, and my buddy Wes figured out another way to make it even easier by going to the upper right-hand corner, and this is why you need the heat-seeking missiles, because the missiles will go around his body and kill him, and it takes a while, but as long as you just keep shooting him from there, he will eventually die, and congratulations, you got through the crab boss. Same as the last bonus stage, you have to shoot it and hit the different angles, and hopefully you can get a free life or not. Once again, these free lives are kind of literally bonuses. If you get them, great. If not, it's not the end of the world. Yes! There you go. There you go. Moving on to the next stage, which I believe is stage 12, we are now in the Ice Realm. This is where the difficulty really starts to ramp up. So on this one, you're going to have another one of the Minesweepers, which if you haven't gotten a single speed boost, it's a little harder than if you get one speed boost. But still, I'm saying stick with no speed boosts at all. You just have to swerve a couple times. There's a center thing in the middle that has enemies on it. Kill those as soon as you can. And the way that I avoid them is I grab a bomb, I do a little circle, I go past the center median, I do another inside circle, so I make kind of a figure 8. So I go one side, into the square. Do that 5 times and you should be good. Now the danger is every once in a while the boats can get themselves stuck on that median, which is a good and a bad thing. You can kind of exploit the game by using that to your advantage, although usually I try to avoid it because it leads to far more scenarios of them grabbing your bomb, and yeah. This is the hardest level in the game. I believe it's level 13, the iceberg level, which if you remember our review, that's where I died. The iceberg level is a pain in the ass. The water will show you where the iceberg's coming, and then the iceberg comes up, and it's completely random. And then also, once you get to the narrow passageways, you'll have 2 icebergs that come up, and they go in and out and in and out. And you need to slow down, get in the lower area of the map, and then when they meet in the middle, you need to speed through it. Now this is why you have the force. What you have to do is you have to get through the first section, you have to get through the first tunnel by being very cautious, and then once you get to the middle, that's when it'll start really speeding up, and generally it speeds up on the left, you go to the right, it speeds on the right, you go to the left. But still, if you find yourself about to die, you're going to run out of life because those icebergs kill you very quickly. That's when you use the force. You use the force and you just go as fast as possible. And just pray you get to the line without losing a life. If you lose 1 life, big deal. But if you lose all your lives and you lose your force, this is a run-ending place. Honestly, stage 13, you need freaking the force for this. What the force does is it gives you invulnerability as well as it fills your health. So let's see if I can do this straight up. I've done it a few times, but it's almost certain I'm going to lose 1 to 2 lives, and since I don't have that many lives to lose, obviously if I can do this without dying, that's going to be the best. But there we go. Now when you die, you have a momentary invulnerability, so use that to your advantage. Just try and, gung-ho it out of here. Now, honestly, if I can make it through this level without using a continue, that's going to be a win. But already, I died again, and the hardest section of the game is still coming, or the level's still coming, which is the end. There's these guys, which you kind of got to wait. Oh, God. There we go. Got past them, but now this thing, it just slowly follows you. All right. Oh, right at the finish. Be weary of the iceberg level. Stage 14, and we're another race to the finish, and now we're gonna have to put in some work. Now, because of the strategy I have of not getting any speed until this point, you need to get 2 speed increases before you get to the ramp that you have to jump. Now, luckily, this usually isn't an issue. They're pretty generous with guys holding pods, so essentially you need to get 6 pods. You gotta get to the speed, instantly use it, and get another speed, instantly use it. Avoid the ramps until you get to the one ramp where you absolutely can't avoid it, and then you hit it and you go over it and you land safely. Now, if you have less than 2 speeds, you're not gonna make it and you're gonna die, and that's gonna be the end of the run. You then need to get one more firepower upgrade, changing your 4-way shot to a 3-way in front of you shot, kind of a spread gun kind of thing. And then last and least, you need to get the force back. Now, you have another level coming up later to get the force after this, but I like to try and get it all done right now just so you don't have to stress about it. And once again, it's another one of those curvy, hit the sides, things shooting at you. And now that you have your 2 speed boost, it gets a little bit more... you know, you gotta be a little more cautious going through that stuff. After that stage, we get to the second kill the dudes who are trying to be rescued, have them drowned section. This is one of the harder places too. Now, you'll get the UFO bros, they'll come again, but they have 2 missiles this time, starting around the 1 minute mark, as well as the other guys will get 2 health around that mark as well. Now, you can pretty much circle around, shoot them, do all that, use the same thing. Worst case scenario, once again, grab one little dude and circle around, circle around. I ended up having to do that one of the runs, but this can be a little bit of a tricky section if you don't have the firepower where I'm telling you to have it. Of course, you need to have the missiles. If you lose a life on this, it's not the worst thing in the world. Just get through it. Get through it. So after all the little dudes drown, you get to another pod phase. Now, usually when I get to this phase, it means nothing to me. It's a lot more trouble kind of actively going for these pods, and you really don't need them. Once again, don't increase speed anymore, because if you do, it makes one of the later phases impossible. I accidentally did that, and my run just ended. I'm not sure if you upgrade speed 3 or 4 times, but if you max out speed, you're done. You're done. Don't do that. So in the pod phase, just like the earlier phase, the second set of 4 ramps next to each other will have a 1-up. Now also, there's the first set, if it has a question mark, if you hit the question mark, sometimes that'll pop up another 1-up, but generally you want to end this phase with the force. Whatever you have to do that, end this phase with the force. And I find the easiest route is getting to the lower hand of the map on a straight line and just going straight and not just maintaining speed, slowing down maybe if there's a bomb that's about to hit me, but generally that's the safest way to get through this. Squid boss, which can be pretty tough if you don't cheese it the way I'm about to tell you. Fire, fire, fire. As soon as his 2 tentacles start to come in and almost get to you, hit the force. And then just continue to fire, fire, fire. And he should be calamari by then. He's done. And that gets us to the next and last bonus stage. I believe that bonus stage is 18 or something like that. And this is one you have the different kind of firepower, which may be easier to get the thing in the earlier ones, but I don't know. I usually get this one with the 3 firepower, and once again, it's just pure luck. Angle your boat, angle your boat, angle your boat, and hopefully it works. So after this one, we get to another race to the finish. This is the last race to the finish in the whole game. Once again, you need to get all of the little pods to get you the force again. That's all you gotta do. So this whole thing, avoid the ramps. You're gonna have the same ramps that you had in the last Race to the Finish, where you hit the 1 and then you hit the 2. That's the same, but you don't need any more speed to get through it. You know, just get the pods to get to the force, and you're good. And it should be just avoid the walls, don't die. You know, that should be easy to get through. Now we're at stage 20. Stage 20 is a reprise of the waterfall level, or not the waterfall level, but the level with the logs and the whirlpools, except this time they are way, way harder. They move with you and just a lot more deadly. Although that's why I have you get the force, because in this stage you want to get through the logs. The logs are kind of easy to get around. If they're going left, you go up. If they're in the middle, they're kind of going in and out. It's just all feel, deceleration and acceleration. Once you get to the big whirlpools, once again, the ones that come in the middle, the two that come together, try and either slow down before they get in front of you or speed through them. And then the giant ones, once you get to the giant ones, that's when you use the force. And you just continue past the whirlpools. Those ones are really, I mean, I've gotten pretty good at avoiding them, but those ones, when you're first starting out, those ones can wreck you so fast. So just use the force, get past them, get to the next log section, and then every once in a while they'll throw in another one of those two whirlpools coming together. But for the most part, that will finish off that level, and if you can just avoid getting hit by the logs, you're good. We have stage 21, which is the last and hardest bomb disposal with the stupid landmines. And this is why if you have the speed maxed out, you're done. These ones are hard enough to avoid, but for some reason they get super fast if you have a max speed. So once again, just like the previous level, you go, you do a circle, you get past it, and you do another circle, and you deposit the bombs. This one is really the most skill-based, and this is easily where your run can end, where you just you drop the ball like this. There's nothing unfair about it. It's just it happens. You lose lives in it, and there's also a whirlpool around the mine disposal, which don't really think about. You know, don't let it hinder you too much. Really, just try and go for it. In the worst case, it'll spin you out, but really, this one is going to take the most practice, where you have to do the figure eight. So you grab the bomb, you do a circle, have the guys trail you. You get past the medium, and then swerve. If you've gotten down the mechanics of this fight earlier, it's just doing a semicircle and swerving to avoid them catching you. It's probably arguably most people's hardest part of the game, which is level 22, the second waterfall section. I've actually gotten pretty good at it to this point where I really don't even see it as that much of a hindrance. I don't think I had my run end once today at that particular section, which I did about 6 runs before I finally was able to beat the game. It's showing you how much it's hard for me to even beat it consistently. But the trick on this one is really the same as the first waterfall, where you gotta react. You gotta, as soon as you find where that thing is. Now these ones move even faster with the whirlpools, but even then the whirlpools really don't come into effect. But it's really, you just have to get good. If you do die once, you need to hit that ramp the next time, and don't let the momentum carry you so fast. You know, you hit it, take a breath, and then go to the part where it speeds up. If you're not gonna make it, turn around. This is why we don't have the speed boost, because you have time to turn around and then go again. That's really the only secret. We get to stage 23, which is the return of the Leviathan, except now he's atomic. Now this is hilarious. You don't attack him. Immediately drive down to the left and just wait for him to kill himself, because he's obviously the version of West Lord in this game. He just explodes, and it's so funny. If you hit him, if you shoot at him, he'll instantly kill you. If you don't do anything, he'll just die with 2 or 3 seconds left on the timer, which you're not going to know until you just happen to stumble upon it. But yeah, it makes it so much easier to get to then the last boss, which is the shark. And the shark, no matter what, is a little broken. He's so difficult. There's no consistent way to attack him. Essentially what he does is he'll be underwater, and then his fin will come up, and then right as he's about to emerge, he'll go one way and then go the other way. And you can generally tell when that arrival's coming. And you have to be lined up and firing at him to do any damage. You know, it's very odd that you'll get damage from above him or below him. It's usually you have to be right on that angle, and generally he'll eat you. He eats you with one bite, and then that's it for the life. So to kill the shark, generally you need at least 3 lives. You have to have a full fresh continue or get to him with enough lives to be able to take a few instant deaths just to wear him down. But once you wear him down, oh, you're done. And game over. You just beat it, because level 25 is just you rescuing a bunch of dudes, and that's it for the game. Done. So it's pretty cool. And if you can follow everything I just said, congratulations. You too will beat Cobra Triangle. Now, I did mention earlier that you can go left instead of right at the beginning of the game. And if you do that, it completely alters the order of the levels. So instead of having stage 3 will be stage 2. You'll get to the dudes before you get to the Leviathan, or you'll vice versa. Now the craziest thing about this is when I beat the game today, I actually did it by going left. And when I got to stage 20, which is the one with the logs and the whirlpools, I got a level I'd never seen before. I got a second iceberg level. Holy shit! Thank God I had the force too, like it blew my mind. I wish I'd been filming myself, because there is a second iceberg level. It's just, this game's crazy. I've legitimately thought I mastered this game, and today I found a level I never even knew existed. Nuts. Just nuts. Now I've officially beaten it every way I could think of. And man, finding that extra level was crazy. So, thanks for checking this out. Let me know in the comments if you enjoyed this, if you want me to do more of these. It's also a good excuse for me to revisit hard games like Werewolf, Holy Diver, that I've already reviewed, but to give me a reason why to go through and maybe help you guys beat the game too, because that sense of satisfaction of beating this game, even today, crisp. So yeah, guys, thanks for watching. Take care.